It's go, 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 go time.
Good morning. Welcome to the Next Level Mortgaging Podcast. My name is Todd Martin, Mission 35 Level 2 Mortgage Agent. I'm going to go a little bit different today. I know it's been a while since you see me. Been on a little bit of an exploration journey, a learning journey, journey of discovery with myself, and just next leveling myself a little bit. I've been working with a high sales performance coach, an internal coach. And we were out for a walk the other day down in the valley in Dundas, Ontario, and we were talking about. I've been watching a lot of podcasts. A gentleman named Dr. Andrew Huberman. If anybody watches him, I'll try to tag him in this video. And he's a neuroscientist and ophthalmologist professor at Stanford University, and he's such a smart man. I consider myself a smart individual, but the amount of information this guy gives out in his podcast is just astronomical. I have to watch his podcast, like they're 2.5, 3 hours long. I'm happy if I can get 10 minutes into a podcast without running out of steam. And the amount of information he gives out, just nonstop. I have to watch him 2-3 times just to get a fraction of the information that he divulges in his podcast. So we were just talking about it, and we were talking about the difference between just accepting information and using information. And something that just came out while we were talking was, I said, the difference between knowledge with a direction. Knowledge without a direction is just information, and knowledge with a direction becomes a purpose. And he looked at me and goes, "Where did you hear that?" I said, "I don't know, it's just something I came up with." And he's like, "You need to use that because that's a driving force for you, because you learn voraciously and you constantly use it, because you don't just pick something and decide you want to read a book. You pick something that you're focused on." And it's true, because I read everything you could find on mortgages for a while I was doing the mortgaging. Well, I'm still obviously doing mortgage agenting, being being a mortgage agent with Mission 35, mortgage agent in Ontario, and I'm constantly trying to evolve in that process. And it's a full level growth program. But the other thing I've been trying to do is change my mindset this year it's more than just my thought process. It's growth in so many different ways. I have lost 23 pounds in the last 27 days. So I've been trying to learn how to not just change how I think, but to change why I used to think the way I thought, and how to keep myself from going back there, right? And Andrew Huberman, he's one of those people that I just watched voraciously, just kept going back, rewatching, re-listening, going back and finding new podcasts on stuff I wanted to listen, fat burning, sleep, hard conversations, all things that were just connected to what I was doing, what I'm doing, and how I'm trying to get there. And every time I listen, I just find something new that just connects to what I'm doing, and how to make it work, and where I'm going. And that's kind of what I'm trying to get at is, if you read a self-help book, and I've read my share of them. I read Think and Grow Rich earlier this year. I'm reading Inner Excellence by Jim Murphy right now. And there's more. I have all of Dale Carnegie's books. I'm reading through them. And if you can pick one thing out of each one of those books, and have it resonate with you, you can change your life. But if you're reading just to read, right, then that's just information. And information doesn't do you anything because it's not taking you anywhere, right? I read Think and Grow Rich, and believe it or not, the one quote I got out of it that resonates with me every day was a quote from somebody else. And it's, each day, every day, I'm getting better and better. And I quote that to myself every single day because I'm on this journey. And I will go back and read Think and Grow Rich again and get something else out of it. It's just right now I have like 20 books in my queue that I want to read. And there's others, and sometimes it's not the right time for information. I read Atomic Habits, or I started reading Atomic Habits, and I'm like, I don't need this right now. It's not, and it wasn't the right time because I wasn't ready to accept the information from it. And I'm going to go back and read that this year because I'm so ready for what's in there. There's so much information in there. James Clear is such a good author, and he has so much information. I've gone into some of his podcasts, and I got to go back. But that idea that you can take information and make it a driving force, you can take knowledge and make it a driving force into pushing you forward, to make it a purpose, use it as a purpose into how to change your life, how to move forward, how to take where you are now or where you want to be and make it happen. This is such a new idea to me. I've always been like, math and English we had this conversation as well with Morgan Emery. Math and English are such separate entities when you're going through school. They're completely separate thought processes. They take different parts of your brain to think through. And there's a lot of people that can't do both. Most people can't do both. For whatever reason, I was able to succeed in both. And I love both. I have poems published, and I can sit down and look at a math problem and enjoy the high of solving it. But the joy of it is I get somewhere from both of them, right? The math allows me to do my job. It allows me to push forward and succeed and excel and go higher in what I'm doing. Reading a book allows me to, sometimes it's about escaping my life sometimes, and, going to another place in a journey. If I'm doing fiction, sometimes it's about learning a new way to push myself higher, faster, further, and all that kind of stuff. And it is such a different experience right now. I have read more nonfiction and more journey defining stuff, and I've listened to more podcasts in the last 3 months than I've listened to in my entire life. And it is enlightening. I know I'm rambling, and this one is going to be a rambler because I have no planned script in front of me on this one. I'm just speaking from my head and my heart on this one because it's changed and starting to define who I'm going to become and who I'm going to be in the next coming years. I have forever been my biggest roadblock right here, right? I know I can succeed at anything I've put in front of me because I have the ability to do it. But the doubts in front of me, the doubts in here kept me from getting there. And that's why I started with what I'm doing this year, talking to Morgan Emery, talking to coaches. Literally, I went to him and I said, look, I need help getting out of my own way. Because, I get told lots, you're doing all the right things, you're doing everything right, you're going to be great in this business, you're going to be great in everything you do, except I'm not. I'm on my way to maybe getting there. I'm making the right strides. There are lots of things I can do better. And there's lots of things everybody can do better. Nobody's going to be perfect in this industry, in any industry. But what I'm learning is not to fall backwards anymore. When you have those days, when you have those times, take what you've learned. Take the time and that growth factor, that whatever you've learned, wherever it is, that growth, and lean on it. Because, I had it last week. I was on a Friday. It was terrible. I was staring at my screen all morning, just staring at my call list. Because that's my weakness. Phone calls are my weakness. Just staring at my call list. Make your calls, make your calls, make your calls. Couldn't do it. Couldn't talk myself into it for the life nor money. And then, I had my accountability call with Morgan, and I told him flat out, I said, I don't know what's wrong with me. I can't make my calls. And he's like, thank you for being honest with me and explaining this to me. I said, why wouldn't I? I said, what's the point of this if I can't be honest with you? And he goes, you'd be amazed who doesn't. And I'm like, well, then I'm not going to get anywhere. And that is more than just knowledge of what I've read. That's knowledge of myself. And that's knowledge I didn't have 2 months ago. Right? 2 months ago, I might have told him I made 20 calls. Right? And that knowledge is giving me purpose to make those phone calls, to make those decisions, to make those meetings, go talk to people outside of my comfort zone. I have an ability to talk to people. I can sit down and talk to anybody, but to make that phone call, to get me there, I'm terrible at it. It scares the crap out of me for some reason, and I don't know why. So I have to figure that out for myself, and that's part of this journey of self-discovery, is what are the reasons behind that? And, Andrew Huberman and his podcasts are helping me. Some of the books are helping me, and Morgan Emery is helping me beyond belief. And he literally told me, do me a favor, make one phone call. Just make one, because the difference will be astronomical. And I'm like, all right. And I was literally staring at my list. I knew exactly who I wanted to call. And we sat there and talked for 10, 15 minutes. He said, make one phone call. I don't care if it's the only one you make, just make one phone call. And I did. I made one phone call, and it led to a lead. It led to a good conversation. And we're going to have, it led to a coffee meet. And it was mind lifting. Let's put it that way. And from there, I was able to make 12 more phone calls. And from there, I was able to make more phone calls this week, led to another coffee meet later this week. And with those changes, I'm able to understand some of the things that in myself that I was in my own way. And we've talked about this as well. Imposter syndrome is so hard. And it's hard to recognize sometimes, right? Why would somebody want to work with me when they can work with somebody else? Why is somebody going to work with me? If I'm making the phone calls, then I'm not already established, right? If I'm making the phone calls, I'm needing people to work with. I don't have enough people to work with. That's my thought process, right? But is it true? I don't know. And what I'm finding is the people out there that want to level up, want to talk to the people that are willing to make that phone call. And that knowledge is changing me and is giving me purpose to make phone calls, is giving me purpose to go higher, faster, further. And my business is going to accelerate because of this. And so knowledge with a direction gives you purpose. So my knowledge of my weaknesses to give me with the direction to go further, it's giving me a purpose to get better and stronger and go further in this business. I don't know if this makes sense or not. I've been rambling, but I needed to talk about this because it's been in my head since Morgan and I talked about it on Monday. And he said, you need to post something about this because it's a thought that means something. So I was going to just do an Instagram post, and I'm like, you can do more. I haven't done anything like this in a while. So guys, I hope you have a great week. If you have any questions, I'm going to be here. I'm going to keep doing some posts about this. I'm going to do some more posts about the mortgage business, obviously. But my journey here is going to be a little bit more sporadic because I'm not posting a ton about it. I'm trying to keep my focus on the journey itself. But I want to bring you along for some of it. Thank you for listening. I hope you guys have a great week.